Building a hexagon map in Tableau is actually easier than I thought. I'll show step by step how to build a non-padded and padded version. Starting on the Data Source tab, I already have employee data connected. This has a location field that I want to use to build a hexagon map. The first step to build this is to add a connection. I'll choose this spatial file and use this file that I have linked in the description. And there's two options in here, a padded and a non-padded version. For this, I'm going to use the non-padded version, but I'll show at the end what it looks like with the padded version. And instead of using a join to connect the data, I'm actually going to use a relationship. But first I'll show the problem with joining. When I join the employee data with the hex states data, an inner join could give us problems. Say I didn't have every single state in my data set. Then the hex map is going to look incomplete because there's going to be states missing. So if I want the complete set of states, say I do a right join. If I don't have every state in my employee data set, then it causes nulls, which we can work around, but it's annoying. So instead I'm going to do a relationship. I'll close out of this data source and pull the hex state file into the pane. Then at the bottom, I'm going to use the relationship to set location equals state. And now on the hex map worksheet, we can see the employee data and the hex states data. Building the hex map is super simple. Just pull latitude into the rows and longitude into the columns. Then pull the geometry field into the marks. And we don't want this background map because it's not set to the accurate coordinates. So I'm going to go to the map tab at the top, choose map options, and uncheck all of these. That way users can't mess around with the functionality of it. Then to get rid of the background itself, I'll go to map again and choose background layers. One option I've seen a lot of people do is set the washout to 100%, but if you want this on a non-white background, I think the better option is to keep the washout at 0 and just uncheck all the background map layers. That way we can put it against any background we want. To add in my employee data, in the marks, I'm going to type the count distinct of employee ID. Then I'll make this determine the color of the hexagon states. And I also need to pull in the state level detail. Then I can edit the colors using the legend and choose the color range to represent the number of employees in each state. So here I'm using a custom diverging palette and using white to represent fewer employees and dark gray to represent more employees. And then really quickly for formatting the worksheet, I'll go to shading and choose none. For borders, I'll remove the row and column dividers. So now when I hover over state, you can see the state abbreviation and the number of employees in that state. And if you want it to be more descriptive, you can use the state field rather than the state abbreviation field. To transform this to a padded version, I'll start on the Data Source tab and bring in the padded version of the file. Then I'll set up the relationship so that location equals state. And on the worksheet, I'm going to replace the red fields with the padded data source versions. Then you can edit the colors using the legend and choose any color palette you want. And you can even make your own.